Good morning. Is my microphone working? It is. What an incredible day. What an incredible day. Each of you have spent years sacrificing to be here this morning, working full-time, going to school at night, sacrificing weekends, sacrificing family outings, Saturday night at home studying instead of out with your friends having a great evening, all for one goal, to be here today to receive your degree. I, too, worked my way through school, working nights as a janitor, both undergrad and graduate school, so I can appreciate the enormity of the sacrifices you all have made to get here today. And I've got some tips for you in your coming journeys, but before I do, I thought I'd pop one last quiz on you and see how you do. A sprightly grandmother goes into her lawyer's office to keep her estate planning appointment. Her wills are completed. Her lawyer hands her a bill for $100. She reaches into her handbag and picks out a nice, crisp $100 bill and hands it to her lawyer. As he accepts it, he realizes there really are two $100 bills stuck together. What ethical dilemma should that lawyer recognize and deal with? Anybody? Well, you're all wrong. It's whether to tell his partner or not. You know, that's my favorite lawyer joke. But it gets me to my first point this morning. Be ethical. Have integrity. You know, we live in a transparent world, and you better be ready for your lives to have complete transparency. We're surrounded by people who don't stand to the same moral constraints we do, and they seem to get ahead sometimes. So you ask yourself, maybe I should lower my standards just a little bit so I can get ahead too. Well, we see in papers evidence of everyday people being caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Even if you don't want to take the ethical and moral route, and you were blessed by having your education here at St. Edward's, because this school just doesn't play lip service to a moral, ethical foundation in education, it lives it. We even have graduates today getting a master's degree in organizational ethics. How cool is that? The point is, don't do it because it's the moral thing. Do it because it's the practical thing. You know, today we live in a wired world, and the slightest peccadillo, transgression, momentary thoughtlessness can go viral in an instant. Witness WikiLeaks, Google. You can find out about anything about your next door neighbor or your buddy or your competitor for that job with a few minutes on the keyboard. So ask yourself, are you really that clever that you can commit your larceny or your little fudge today and not get caught? Is it that important to get your next job to lie or exaggerate on your resume? And if you get away with it, are you really confident that 10 years from now it won't be discovered and all that hard work go out the door along with the reputation of you and your family? You know, what do we think of when we hear the world's Bill Clinton today? What's the first thing you think of? The morning papers today had further evidence and exposés about Richard Nixon's transgressions, how instead of being a great president, he was an immoral man, 50 years later. So be ethical because it's a smart thing to do. Let me talk to you a moment about plans versus goals. And goals are those big things we strive for. You all just reached your goal here this morning. Again, it's incredible. But the plans are how we think we get there. And plans are important. But there's a great Jewish proverb that goes something like this. If you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. And it's true. Let me tell you, I told you a minute ago that I worked my way through college. That wasn't my plan. My goal always was to be a trial lawyer. My plan was 7 idyllic years on the beaches of Southern California, get some student loans, get some help from mom and dad, occasional summer job. It's great. Well, at the age of 19, I became first a husband and then a father. Dennis Marty Rose, he's right here this morning watching his daughter receive her great MBA degree. His daughter, his sister. Boy, there's more to my family than you know. But let me tell you something. In 1968, there wasn't a new school. There weren't fine evening graduate programs. There wasn't even childcare. A bunch of us at UCLA got together and formed UCLA Child Care Cooperative, and we all took turns watching each other's kids while the rest of us went to class so we could raise our children and still get our degree. I held every night job you could get. Janitor, I cleaned the beaches, I threw the LA Times for years, whatever it took to reach my goal, but I didn't have a single plan. I just knew I wanted to be a trial lawyer, and I was going to do whatever it took to get there. And along the way, along those 6 years, I learned a really important lesson. It's important to plan, and if I got that big trade secrets case coming up, you bet I plan. I plan like crazy, but when I get in the courtroom, forget the plan. I got to go. I got to go. I'm going to get to the truth. And that poor witness has just been given a plan, and he's hoping to follow that plan, and I've got a different plan. My point is simple. Focus on your goal, because your plans won't go as you think they're going to go. Now, the next two tips I have really go together. One is to embrace risk. You know, we hear about being risk avoidance, looking for that secure job. There is no such thing as security in this world, and if we ever thought there was 30 years ago, we know today there isn't. So forget about security. The only security you need is you, and you've already proven it to yourself. Your hard work, your drive, your ambition is what all you need in the bank to succeed. And while you're on the way, be eternally optimistic. Don't fear. If you fear success, you can't succeed. If you fear failure, you haven't got a chance. Hoyle, the great bridge and poker wizard, said this: if you want to win, you have to be willing to lose as much as you're willing to win. And he was absolutely right. So take risks and don't worry about it. And along the way, be optimistic. And let me tell you a couple things about optimism. You know, you hear today, oh my God, the economy is horrible. It's a terrible time to start a business. Terrible time to quit your secure job and try that new career. It's horrible. Well, let me tell you something. We bought our first house in Texas in 1983. Mortgage interest was 13%, and I had to put 20% down to buy a house. It's a piece of cake to buy a house today compared to that. Now, I look around, and there are people around here closer to my age than my daughter's age, who's getting her MBA degree, out here in the audience, and it's wonderful. And I'll bet you've already heard something like this: it's too late for you to go back to school. It's too late for you to start a new career. It's too late to do anything. Hogwash. It's never too late. In 1999, I was a senior partner in a big old stuffy law firm, and I was miserable. About as miserable as a person could be. Hang on a second. Thank you. And I couldn't figure out what misery was, except I knew I didn't like the way law was being practiced in big law firms. I didn't like the business side of it. I didn't like the lack of integrity. And I wanted to do something different, I thought. So I finally said, quit dreaming and grab a goal. 6 weeks before my 50th birthday, I sold my house, emptied my bank account, borrowed against my 401 account, begged as much money as I could beg from banks, lived on credit cards, and started my law firm. I still had Brian and Allison here at St. Edward's in undergrad, and I was writing tuition checks every quarter for both those students. And you know what? I never feared failure, because if I failed, at least I tried. Am I happy today? Am I fulfilled today? I can't even begin to tell you what a difference it made, because it made what my dream come true. So don't fear failure, and don't fear your age, or don't fear anything anybody says to you that really is their doubt being implanted on you, because they wouldn't have the courage to do what you're about to do. And that brings me to my next point. Be patient. You may not get where you're going tomorrow or next year. You may be a late bloomer like I was. But enjoy it. You're not going to get there today. The life journey is what's important, as it's always said, not the destination. And as you go day to day, week to week, year to year, think about doing everything with excellence. You know, Aristotle said, excellence is a habit, not an act. And he was right. You can't be excellent just on Sundays at church, or just for that big presentation, or just for your final exam, and really be excellent. Be excellent every day. Make it your habit. And again, if you're a cynic, don't do it because it sounds like it's the right thing to do. Do it because it pays off. Somerset Maugham, the great playwright and author, said this about excellence. He said, it's a funny thing about life. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. And he was very right. So always seek out the best and don't worry about it. And a final thought. Laugh a lot. Enjoy yourself. You're never going to have to work as hard again in your lives, I promise you. I promise you. It was, when I got done getting my degree in 1974, it was like vacation. I just had a day job. It was amazing. And you will too. Enjoy it. Enjoy every day God blesses us with, and smile a lot. Oh, and one last thing. When you get that extra $100, share it with your partner, and share it with St. Ed's. Thank you very much.